ringside then? Because I've seen a load of these on the television, but I've not really haven't experienced being in there for a fight inside the bubble. Just give us a bit of, for people that have seen it but won't have experienced it, what's it like on fight night, fight day, being in there, and what's the experience like? Restrictions?
Not very nice experience in terms of it's not enjoyable. There's no atmosphere, and I mean zero atmosphere. Me and Johnny Nelson was having a little chat about the fights that was going off, and just sort of comparing notes and seeing how we were scoring it. And we're chatting away, and somebody from the floor in front of us, I think it was the floor manager, he looked up and goes, Froch, can you just keep it down a bit? They can kind of hear you between rounds. I'm thinking, well, the ring's like 15, 20 metres away. Me and Johnny are talking like we're talking next to each other. We're not shouting. And the people at the ringside could hear us. And we're talking about what we're going to say in our comments after the fight. So you've literally got to whisper and talk quietly, really drop your volume. And if you think about that for a live event and a boxing match where you need a bit of atmosphere, it's just not nice, mate. It's not nice. So everybody's sat apart, social distancing. Everybody's got a mask on. Everybody's walking around like a zombie, and you just think to yourself, you can't really talk to anyone, really, because it's difficult to get their attention. You're not 100% sure who's who. I was like, is that Eddie Hearn? Is that AJ? Who's that down there? I couldn't make anybody out. So, mate, it's not good. I enjoy the boxing. I love the boxing. I love the fights. The fight's the fight. You still see two guys in there trying to land shots at each other, and it's entertaining. But in terms of the atmosphere and the enjoyment of the night, I mean, I got there about 4:00 and I didn't get off air till about 12. It was the longest night ever in boxing. It dragged. Usually you've got the crowd and the music, the ring entrants are big, and you can have a bit of banter and a bit of a dance in between. It just makes the night go, the enjoyment of it. Literally, you stood there, really cold, even though I had a jacket and a jumper on, just cold, just waiting to say your bit next, and it just dragged on and on. I can imagine fighting in that and thinking to myself, walking to the ring thinking, what is going off? I mean, it was really airy, the atmosphere, and not nice at all.
It's funny you say that, because when we spoke about this before, having obviously neither of us have been in there, you have now. But you were making the point, you said, for lads that have been decent amateurs, they'll have experienced something similar. But from what you're saying, it's even more different than that.
Because when you're an amateur,
you've been in there, that it would have an effect on certain fighters more than others.
Well, even when you're an amateur, people still make noise. People talk, and there's a bit of noise going off. In there, it's just like everyone's quiet. Everyone feels like they've got to be quiet because everyone's listening to them. Can't speak because we're being listened to. Don't forget, everyone's got a mask on. So it's like they've got this mask on, so they're kind of mumbling behind the mask, and they're keeping social distances so the people don't engage in conversation. People walk around, and instead of me seeing you or seeing the producer, Patrick or Jack, saying, how you doing, lads? Or see Bunce and Costello, you're like, lads, how are you? And you're quite loud and you're talking. That ups the volume and the atmosphere of the whole room. Well, everybody's quiet. Nobody's talking. Everybody's just A to B, get from A to B, do your job, go home. It is so eerie. It's frightening, mate. It's like a spooky atmosphere. It's Halloween as well. So I'm like, it's Halloween. It's really dark and quiet. And it really fitted the mood for Halloween. But no, not nice, mate. Not nice at all. And I don't think that helped Chisora, which we're about to talk about, in his fight with Usyk, because Chisora's the kind of guy that rises to the occasion and likes a bit of crowd behind him. Don't get me wrong, you could hear David Hay all the way through. You could hear Tony Bellew getting stuck in as well, and a couple of instructions from his corner men. But no atmosphere, no good to me, mate.
I must say that I watched the fight, and I enjoyed it for what it was. It was Derek trying to land the big shot, just as David told us on the podcast last week. His fitness was such that he was still in there at the end of 12 rounds. And the sharper, slicker, more accurate, classy work came from Alexander Usyk, which we thought it would. So there wasn't a great deal of surprises. What did surprise me was the notion of some people at ringside, and it was Dave Caldwell and it was Tony Bellew, who had got it in their mind that Derek Chisora had somehow won the fight and the decision was wrong and the scorecards were wrong. I thought it was quite a wide margin victory for Alexander Usyk, because I thought all the sharper, cleaner work came from him. And from watching it on the settee at home, it seemed fairly obvious to me that it was a gallant defeat for Derek Chisora, and he'd certainly prepared as well as he could do. But in no way, shape or form could I even contemplate giving him the fight. I thought Usyk won it clearly.
No, and you mentioned Tony Bellew there and David Caldwell. David Caldwell has since come out and said, what I saw on the night doesn't happen to be the same as what I watched on television when I went back and watched it on the rerun. So there's, you could look at that and take that how you want and criticise that how you want.
Hang on a minute. So this is a trainer who handles fighters in world title fights, or has done, who's saying that he didn't see it ringside, but he could see it when he got home. I'm not necessarily sure that's a great reference for someone who might be in your corner for a big fight, is it? I'm sorry, I didn't see those properly.
Yeah, no, it was a kind of strange wriggle out of a strange retraction of what he said, and to me, it didn't look professional. It didn't sound professional, but you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. He said that from where he was stood, he thought that Usyk was missing, falling short of his punches, and when he watched it back on television, he actually saw that them shots were landing. I mean, Usyk's not a massive puncher.
From the ring, then, so if you're saying you're 20 metres, I mean, it's not as if he's at the back of the room, is it?
No. Listen, Matt, I'm trying to make an excuse for him here. He didn't see the punches landed in live, but he saw them land on the television.
You know full well we don't have excuses on this podcast.
To me, it's not good enough. I think he got roped into the emotion. He got roped into Tony Bellew being really emotionally attached as well, because he's friends with Derek Chisora. And Bellew had Chisora winning the fight quite clearly as well. I thought Chisora started really, really well. I was dead impressed. I stood there with Johnny Nelson, hanging over the top, saying, come on, Chisora, come on, Chisora. I was shouting for him with the haymaker who didn't shut up for 12 rounds. And I just thought Derek Chisora started really well because he put Usyk on his back foot. He was cutting the ring off. And every time Usyk tried to spin off, he was throwing a big body shot. He looked like he landed a couple of overhand rights. Usyk, to be fair, caught the shot. He gets his glove up. He kind of half blocks the shot and half takes the shot, knocks him back. And there's a few oohs and ahs from the corner. And I was thinking, this kind of pressure, this kind of momentum, putting Usyk on his back foot, he might just get home with one of these shots. If one of these big overhand rights or one of these big right hooks or swings or the left hook to the body lands cleanly, Usyk might be in serious trouble because he's not a massive bloke, is he, Usyk? He's a cruiserweight coming up, as we know. Yeah. And I just thought Chisora did everything he could do to give himself the best possible chance of winning. But unfortunately, it didn't pay off. And like I said on the night on my commentary, he didn't win the fight. The right man won. You can't make a case for Chisora winning that because he didn't land enough shots. And after round 4, maybe even 3, after round 3 or 4, Usyk was taken over with his boxing ability. He was out jabbing. He was landing nice right hands, couple of combinations on his back foot. Yeah, still being pushed back, still manoeuvring around the ring on the outside, but he was landing punches and landing scoring shots, which you have to score. It's difficult to give Chisora a round from round 5 to round 12. He may have had a share of round 8 or 9. I think it was one of the mid to late rounds. He did okay, and he tried to finish strong, but just walked into more shots. So just to make clear, Chisora was the clear loser. Usyk was the clear winner. Tony Bellew was too emotionally involved. Chisora's his friend, and he was making a case for him. He may have believed on the night that the pressure and putting pressure on Usyk and putting him on his back foot, he might have thought that was enough, and he might have thought that the punches from Usyk weren't solid enough to be scoring shots. But unfortunately in boxing, if you hit somebody in the target area of the face or body with the target area of the glove and it lands clean, it's a scoring shot. And Usyk outworked Chisora and outpointed him, and that's what the result was. And there's no arguments at all.